Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Good Governance Academy event. We've got a few minutes before we start today, so if you can let us know where you're from in the chat function, that would be great. And if you don't know how to access the chat function, if you could please just push your Alt key on your keyboard and all of the functions will appear at the bottom there. We've opened up quite a few functions today, so we have the ability to react to what we're saying. I'm just going to sorry, if you want to react to what we're saying, the reactions are available to you there. If you're wanting to ask us questions, please put the questions into the Q&A function so we don't lose them in the chat. We're asking everyone to please, if you have any comments, if you'd like to share where you're from or why you're joining today and where you're from, please put them in the chat function. We'd love to hear from you. Really, the chat function is our ability to network as a professional network on the side. So welcome if you want to post your LinkedIn profiles, if you want people to link with you, please feel free to post it in the chat function. For those of you who don't know about the Good Governance Academy, we provide thought leadership on critical business issues through collaboration with our support member network. And one of our support members in our support member network, of course, is Wits Business School. And we have Wits Business School here today. It's also a sponsor and our academic partner for the journal. And we'll talk more about what the journal is. But first of all, I'd like to ask Jenica from Wits Business School to give us a little bit more about why Wits Business School and why Wits is an academic partner for the journal and what's in it for them. So Jenica, if I can ask you, thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. I think you've started an amazing introduction, and the Good Governance Academy is closely associated with Wits Business School. And Wits Business School being the business school in Gauteng and aiming to be one of the better business schools in Africa, the intention is to speak about important issues like governance, ethics. And this is an embodiment of the Good Governance Academy. And being part of the Good Governance Academy and Wits Business School, it seems like a natural progression that we speak things governance and ethics, especially in South African business. So Wits Business School is, wanting to not just teach governance and ethics. It wants individuals that go through their corridors, go through the programs that are associated with the school, to be practitioners of good governance and ethics. And basically, the more conversations we have, the more we write, the more engagement network that we have in this regard, we aim to improve our country and our practice. So this is where the heart of Wits Business School lies, is in improving business practice and extending best practice throughout the business and corporate South Africa.
Thank you, Cesar. Thank you, Jenica. I think it's really important for any journal to have an academic partner. Really just brings the level of academic understanding and research to a specific level. But we're not only looking at academic articles, we're also looking for the voice of the practitioner. What is really happening in practice? Because we do see academia going one way and practice going another way, and we really need to keep those two together, not only to give academics the practical aspects of what's actually happening on the ground, but also to keep practitioners real in terms of what's happening in academia and allowing them to bring thought leadership and this thinking into their daily practice. But I'm going to turn to Neil van Graan. Now, I know Neil wasn't on our advertisement, but we're really happy to have Neil here today because Neil's representing the host of our journal. And the host of our journal is an organization called AOSIS. Neil, I have very little understanding or had very little understanding of what a journal was and who AOSIS was and what this is all about. Can you give us a little bit more insights about that? Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Good morning, everyone. As Carolyn mentioned, my name is Neil van Graan. and I'm the journal's commissioning and development editor at AOSIS. We are a open access scholarly publisher of almost 60 open access journals based in Cape Town, South Africa. And Carol, I wanted to mention, I thought it was great that you had Jenica speak before me, because that's really how this journey started. Just over 2 years ago, Jenica gave me a call and said, Neil, we have to start this journal. And it's quite a lot of work. And Jenica specifically, you put in a tremendous amount of work, so thank you. In any event, Carolyn, would you like me to speak about what open access means right now? Or
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect.
What is Oasis? You said a little bit about you host journals. The one thing I wanted to ask you was, although you're based in Cape Town, South Africa, all the good people are. No, I'm just kidding. I'm also based here, but you're international, and we have an international
Absolutely.
footprint. So
Absolutely.
yes, if you can tell us a little bit about the journal, the type of journal that you're hosting for us, and the kind of audiences that you have that you are expecting for our Advances in Corporate Governance journal.
Okay, perfect. All right, so as I mentioned, we are an open access publisher. And what that means is everything that we publish is available to readers and users free of charge without usage restrictions. It also means that everything we publish, the copyright remains with the authors, so there's never any copyright transfer from the authors to either the publisher, that's us, or to the journal. And the benefit for that is really for institutions, researchers, and practitioners as well, as you mentioned, who may not have institutional access to sort of traditional model journals where you have to pay for access to content. So that is the greatest benefit of open access. And AOSIS, as I mentioned, we publish almost 60 scholarly journals, most of them based in South Africa, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, about between 10 and 15 with an international sort of audience in terms of authorship specifically. And I think the kind of audience we're hoping to attract is for sure a global one. I think that's reflected in the Good Governance Academy's reach, at least from my understanding, as well as the way the journal's focus and scope is positioned, the kinds of submissions it wishes to attract. I hope I've answered that adequately.
Yes,
Okay,
that's brilliant.
okay.
So everything, when you say open, that's quite amazing that there's no fee associated with this. So if we want to, as a practitioner, write an article about something that we feel in our organization is quite a different approach to corporate governance, or and we're going to ask Cesar in terms of the topics that we're looking at, but we don't need to actually pay to submit any kind of article. Is that right?
That's a good question. So there's always a cost involved, of course. And at the moment, AOSIS is sponsoring between 6 and 10, usually up to 10 articles per year, until accreditation is reached. And I know we'll get to that point a little bit later. But where the free element will always remain true is in terms of access once an article is published. So for the users. In terms of publication fees, those may be introduced later, and those can be defrayed in different ways, which I'm sure we'll have plenty of discussions of still in the future.
Yes, because really that is the Good Governance Academy's intentions, is that all this thought leadership, as you say, is free to access. So I think that's and promoting the gathering of thought leadership is certainly something that we would look for sponsorship to help people submit their articles to defray those costs, absolutely. But I'd like to move to Prof. Cesar now, our chief editor. And Prof. Cesar is also on our steering committee, our Good Governance Research Forum steering committee. But I'd like to ask Prof. Cesar, in terms of the content that you're looking for and the articles and the topics, what are the topics that this journal specifically would be looking to cover?
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be part of this publication process. It's an honor to be editor-in-chief, and it's a huge responsibility. So in that respect, our major role is to publish good quality work within the framework of good governance. So it's the umbrella good governance. And within that, we have many other keywords and topics available. For instance, if you consider the hot topics related to digital transformation, the impact of the business model, digital business model, and we have some twinning, framework related to sustainability and digital transformation, which is making it green way of doing things, being responsible. So it's all our responsibility to increase the quality and the impact of governance, good governance globally. It's not for the South African style, but it should be the global vision for our, contributing either from academia or practitioners. They are all welcome to contribute this process. As you see, the things going around, good governance is the only way to solve many questions and make it much better for all the stakeholders, let's say, including everybody, and making it digital, responsible, and good governance style. And you are all welcome to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Cesar. I see I've just popped in the chat function here, the list of areas. So as you summarized it nicely for us, we're looking at the Good Governance Academy's really focus areas of outcomes-based governance, conscious and responsible corporate leadership, and then, as you said, sustainability and sustainable value creation. From a governance perspective, I guess that's around accountability for sustainability, corporate sustainability and integrated reporting. Now, that's really a hot topic today, is specifically the new era of corporate reporting, being again accountable for more than just financial reporting, to consider, as integrated reporting considers it, the multiple capitals, including natural capital and social capital, manufactured, intellectual, etc., looking at the full ambit of capitals and value generation from that perspective. And then, as you mentioned, the digitalization and organizational culture and ethics and operational performance. So it's very, very broad. Are there any limitations in terms of the numbers of articles that your team, as the editorial team, Cesar, can deal with in launching the journal?
We have a very good, as Neil mentioned, platform and infrastructure to welcome all the papers. There is no limitation. And we have a very qualified and diversified editorial board structure. And in addition to that, we have reviewers from both practitioner side and academia to support our process. And it's good to know that good governance is very important topic, and all our colleagues are interested in contributing to the process. And this is quite new one. And we would like to bridge the gap, as Caroline mentioned, between practice and theory. So between this, we have the technology. Technology means data, but it's a huge data, big data. Means we are welcoming and introducing new, techniques to analyze not only financial metrics, but as Caroline mentioned, non-financial data analytics, including all kinds of sustainability metrics are involved, ethical issues, governance issues, and this will be our major aim to talk about the realities of the business world, because it's totally changing, transforming, and we know that the leadership, when we talk about the governance leadership, Prof. Mervyn King is there showing us the right way. So we are following his vision and hoping to, welcome analytical papers, theoretical papers, and practitioners' view, so that we can create a synergy between those different domains, so that we can establish the collective intelligence which is needed for the good governance. On the one hand, we have professionals there, but on the other hand, we need to get used to some robotic colleagues joining our work environment. How can we treat them? There are plenty of issues to make it hypothesize and test and give some feedbacks and give some new findings, either theoretical or empirical findings or practical implications, so that we can contribute to good governance process and standards, which should be treated as a global issue. It's not only the South African, but it starts from the South Africa, but will be, like a sunshine to other regions of the world, to create collective intelligence altogether. We are
Brilliant.
we are all here to, as editorial board, Good Governance with Business School, we are here to serve you to achieve this target, but we cannot do this without you. We need your kind support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. So what I'm understanding is there's no limitation. Are you using technology? You're using, as you say, digitalization yourself, so to process these articles. So I think that's fabulous. And you're also adding the human touch to be able to work with people who are not used to submitting articles and papers, to make sure that their articles and papers are suitable. Because, as you say, we need this collective intelligence, and the barrier to sharing that intelligence shouldn't be a specific format or a specific way of doing things. So we will work hand in glove with the people to make sure that we get, we tick those boxes, while actually the thought leadership and the innovation comes through in these articles. I would like to turn now from the practitioner side of things and our helping of practitioners to get this thinking into will make it available to everybody, to then the academic side of things, because the journal is really founded in academia. That's where the journal initially comes from. And we're kind of moving it and morphing it to make sure that it works for us in terms of what we're trying to achieve. But our academic partner in WITS Business School, there's certain academic requirements of the academic papers that are being submitted. If you can just, Jenica, if you can just give us, sorry, Jenica, are you Dr. Gobind or are you also Prof. Jenica?
No, it's Doctor at this time. Thanks, Caroline. That's a very important question. And I think also Prof. Cesar can come in with author guidelines. So if you access the link to the journal, you'll have author guidelines that literally set out what is required. I see in the chat, we've got a person who's asked, Joy has asked, what type of support can she receive? Well, very simply, to answer your question and to answer Joy's question at the same time, submit your article and the editorial panel will give you recommendations and suggestions how to get that article to align better with the author guidelines for the journal submission. So initially, look at the author guidelines. It's a very simple guideline. It's intended for individuals to put their thoughts forward. So follow the author guidelines. Obviously, it has to be referenced. We cannot borrow ideas from other individuals. Editorial, read through it, language. But the editorial team is in place to support submissions. So send your submissions from all over the world, including South Africa. And we as the editorial team will come together and support you through the submission process. That's our purpose. I hope that makes it something that is user-friendly and highly doable.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jenica. I'm going to share the screen now. I have put and if you can, everyone online, if you can click on that link, I'm going to talk through that link, because what we've done is we've created a very easy to follow process. So on the website, there's 4 practitioners, and I did this myself the first time I'm trying to submit to a journal. I've always, in my academic life, it was done for me, but now I'm a practitioner, and that was many, many years ago. So this is the document that we've put together to help you. So there are different kinds of articles that you can submit. I wonder if I need to just zoom in here. There we go. All right. So there are different kinds of articles, editorial, which is expert commentary on relevant topics within the scope. That editorial, a lot of practitioners I can expect would be commenting on that. In terms of the definition of an expert, in the context of you and your organization, you are an expert in your organization in the fact that you have insights that no one else has. So absolutely looking at this from what is the innovation that you're bringing to the rest of the world in what your expert commentary is all about. Then, of course, we get into what Dr. Gobind was saying, Dr. Jenica was saying, in terms of an original research article, which is really a structured overview of innovative research within or related to the focus areas. And then a review article, a synthesis of recent significant advances with a look at unresolved questions and future directions. I'm not sure what that review articles means. So Dr. Jenica, if you can just explain a little bit more what a review article is, please.
So an article that individuals might find a dilemma in the work context that they would like to speak about or garner more interest in, and put that out for other individuals to maybe do future studies on, or future research on, or future commentary on. And this is, allows a lot of our practitioners out there who are facing such challenges on a daily basis to write this up. So this is a great opportunity for our practitioners to come in and speak of day-to-day challenges and put that information out for other individuals, academics, students, other practitioners to pick up the conversation. So I think this is a very appropriate article for practitioners to utilize or to write about. Maybe Prof. Cesar would like to add a little bit on this. Prof, as the chief editor, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you very much. Here, when you are reviewing something, you are actually connecting different topics and combining them and creating your own vision and your significant points to focus on. As Jenica mentioned, for the practice, you sometimes face dilemmas, ethical issues, some challenges, and some regulatory, issues and violations. You need to cope with this kind of complicated structure. And if you are reading a review article, which gives you the big picture of all related topics in one paper, so that you can get the synergy, you can understand, and take a decision based on that review article. The missing part is that it's not, based on any empirical data analytics. You are relying on the any kind of issues or challenges or any framework, you bring them all together. For the original research, you need to contribute with data analytics and any kind of original implementation. And this is the key difference, but both of them are quite valuable for us and needed to add value for the good governance structure. On the one hand, we have some ethical, regulatory, or some workflow related issues. On the other hand, we have new type of data available, and we need to analyze the impact on these new indicators as the good governance performance metrics. And we are ready to welcome all kind of articles and contributions, either it's editorial, practitioners corner, or original articles. You are all welcome to say something, to share your knowledge and experience, either from practice or academia. Please join us and share your knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. In terms of the review article, its synthesis of recent and significant advances, it just looks to me like a prompt that I would put into a chat GPT or into an AI model. So although I know that these kinds of things, these tools can certainly help when you're looking at researching and looking across the internet in terms of what's available, I'm sure that the articles that we're looking for aren't something that we can just pop into a chat GPT or to a DeepSeek or to a Quillbot or a Claude. This is something that we are actually looking for personal insights and that expertise in this synthesis. Is that correct?
Yes, true. But when you prepare your own paper, either it is a review or original research article, you need to be careful about how to use, new technology, artificial intelligence, and asking, some support. But there should be a limit and a structure so that we understand and see your own contribution.
Thank you.
That's our sensitivity, and this is related to COAP standards and ethical and academic requirements, so that we can publish and confidently share with others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. And we know that in academia, both yourself and Dr. Jenica, what we have is the students are very well versed in these tools, and you can pick it up like that. And versus the people that we're expecting to submit are going to be the can I say the more experienced practitioners and academics that, perhaps we don't know how to mask our use of it, but certainly it's tools that we can use. We need to know how to use them in the right context. So again, if anyone needs any support on that, please do reach out to us. A little bit about before you submitting your article or your paper, there's quite a lot to go through, and this is where specifically we can assist you in terms of the requirements of each different type of article. We've gone through a little bit specifically deep dive on the review article, but there are formatting requirements as well, because this is an electronic process, so that there is certain formatting requirements, and there's a very, very useful, and these are hyperlinks, very useful checklist. And when you're doing the checklist, the system, when you're submitting, actually asks you for certain things. So we've made a note here that you don't need to submit a cover letter. It's very useful for the editorial team to receive a cover letter. So if you can, that would be great, but it's not an absolute requirement if you don't know how to do that. but it does certainly help the editorial team in judgment calls. And then, of course, just to reiterate that there will be no charges. So that's something that the Good Governance Academy, together with WITS Business School, we're committing to in this round. Supplementary information like your illustrations, etc., make sure that they're saved as separate documents so that they can be referenced and hyperlinked, etc. Here, if you want to get in touch, submissions at goodgovernancejournal.org. Please send us a message if you are needing any assistance. One of the things that was a big eye-opener for me was this need for an ORCID, and it was like it completely stumped me. It's like, what is this? An open researcher and contributor ID. Well, it's nothing to be afraid of. It asks for your ORCID, but you can create one. You can register using the link you need, and your contact information, a password, etc. You can give your consent and privacy settings, and then you need to, once you've registered, you get your sign-in. So we make sure that you are legitimate, and you're a legitimate, you're not a bot that's submitting papers and going to take us down, that you are a real person. We have verified and vetted that you are a real person, and you've got this this ID. The ID that I found a little bit tricky was it actually is the full URL. It's not just the number at the end. So I put that in there as just a reminder. It's the full URL. Also, when you are creating this, it allows you to open it up to others. So if others on this open research and contributor platform, you can have, in terms of your consent and privacy settings, you can open yourself up to have other people contact you, or you can contact others. So it's a very, very useful, and this is prior to even submitting your article on the OASIS platform. This allows you to then just register yourself as being a researcher or a contributor. So please, this is the first step in your process. The second step then is you go and register on the journals platform, which is the AOSIS platform. And the links are all there, and you need to register as an author. That would be your role in terms of submitting. Now you're all ready to go and submit, and you submit your formatted article by logging in, and there are various ways of doing it. This is just one way. The system, the platform is very flexible in terms of how you can submit. There's lots of information there. Just when you accept the policy, again, remember that there are no fees, and there is a submission checklist that you need to go through. And then there's a description of the steps in terms of actually submitting your article. And then on acceptance, Prof. Cesar and her team will get back to you, and you can always go and have a look at this in more details and ask us questions at any point. I wanted to share this with you because it can seem onerous for a person who has never been involved in academia before to submit this kind of information and your article. And it's quite, at our age, we shouldn't be fearful, but it's quite a new process. So even for us, it's quite a fearful process, but we're asking everyone and anyone, if you have got any insights in terms of the what we're going through, and in our topic areas and insights that you might have gained as being a professional, please submit your articles. And in terms of that, I know that there's, and I'm going to turn to Neil now, there is some minimum number of articles that to be accredited as an academic journal. That's something that we need to be considering as well and conscious of, so that we are a very new initiative, but we're not registered yet, and we need to go through a registration process. So Neil, if you can just explain to us, please, there's a minimum number, there's something called indexing that I had no idea of, and then there's some kind of accreditation, and this is a long and drawn out process. Can you explain it to us, please?
Sure. Thanks, Carolyn. No problem. I think the best place to start is the academic basis that was referred to a little bit earlier. This is really sort of what indexing and accreditation, which I will explain in a moment, rely on. Essentially, a journal is different to a magazine in that it publishes primarily original research content, with, for example, review articles as secondary research, rather than opinion pieces, editorials, and so on. So it's really it's a difference in proportion, really. And then you mentioned or asked about indexing and accreditation. So for our international colleagues, I think indexing would be most appropriate. To explain first, indexing is really external bodies who take a look at journals and mark them with some sort of stamp of quality. Now, the most famous in the world is most likely the Web of Science, followed by Scopus, and then perhaps the Directory of Open Access Journals, which is our first indexing target, the Directory of Open Access Journals. We require a minimum of 10 original research articles or equivalent. Equivalent does include review articles as well, before we can apply. So our hope is to have at least 10 articles published by September this year, so that we can apply and for inclusion, and they usually take around 3 months to make a determination. And so if we're lucky, if all goes according to plan, the journal could be included in the Directory of Open Access Journals before the end of 2025. And getting to a more South African specific context, the DOAJ, or the Directory of Open Access Journals, is a DHET approved index and has been since 2021.
Sorry, what
So
is
what this
DHET?
sorry,
Yeah.
that stands for the Department of Higher Education and Training in South Africa. And the reason this is relevant and important to especially authors affiliated to public research institutions in South Africa is because their institutions qualify for research subsidy if they submit and publish articles in DHET accredited journals. So it's usually a sort of incentive for South African authors specifically to submit to a journal. So if the DHET follows its standard practice, and the advances in good governance is included in the Directory of Open Access Journals by December of this year, then the journal is likely to, or it's possible for the journal to be DHET accredited in January of next year already. Sorry, I know it's a mouthful. It's a lot of elements that into play. But it is possible. We've seen it happen with 2 journals recently. One is the African Journal of Pentecostal Studies, and the other is the Journal of the Colleges of Medicine of South Africa. They both managed to get into the DOAJ within slightly less than a year of their first research article being published, and they are both accredited by the DHET now. So we've seen it work, and we believe that with all of your support, Advances in Corporate Governance will be able to do the same thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Did you want to add something? Sorry.
Yes, I wanted to just quickly add one thing about services. What's the other thing? About AI tools. So we do have an AI policy, which I'll post in the chat, just explaining when AI use is meant to be disclosed and when not. And then in terms of services, so if you ever do get stuck and during your submission process, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'm putting that email address in to the chat. Our team is very friendly. They'll give you a call, they'll arrange a team meeting, they'll help you via email, whatever way you prefer. Only during South African office hours, unfortunately. But they are very, very helpful. And then I'll post a link to the AI policy as well. And that's
Brilliant.
me wrapping up. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you, Neil. There's 2 points that come out for me. I've just got to remember them now. The first one was, so you do the Department of Higher Education and Training in South Africa. Is it possible to do the same kind of things with qualifications, authorities, or ministries in other countries?
That's a good question. As far as I know, the DHET system is unique. It's sort of the only system of its kind in the world. So it's possible, but I'm not aware of any sort of specific body we have to be on. I know, for example, in Norway, they have a 2-level list of quality, so they call it journals, and that happens to be one of the DHET's approved indexes, but no South African journal, for example, is on the qualifying part of the list. So I suppose in a sense, yes, but also not quite. We only really have experience with the DHET and then with international indexes specifically. So perhaps I could answer the question more broadly by saying, once the journal is included in the directory of open access journals, we wait until the journal is ready for application for the next step, which is usually Scopus. It's usually around 20 original research articles a year, and a bunch of other quality criteria that we have to meet, and around 100 citations a year, then the journal becomes ready. And then for the Web of Science, it's a little bit longer, but that's all subject to their inclusion criteria, which they may change at any point. So we do keep a fine eye on that. And we have a whole department dedicated to indexing services specifically. And I think, broadly speaking, indexing services really doubles being indexed really doubles as being accredited. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. And then the second point was really just a call out to say we have to have 10 articles before we even start that process. So I am going to go in terms of that's all about submission. How about viewing the articles now? But let me there's got lots of questions around the submission. First of all, Colleen asks about, as a non-academic governance practitioner, how do I publish in an academic journal? What we're saying to you, Colleen, is please, we're looking forward to your articles. Yes, we want you to publish in an academic journal. And I hope that we've answered all of your questions. If you do, we've answered your question. If you do have any other questions, please just pop it in the Q&A or pop it in the chat function. We've got a few people online. It's not hundreds of people, because really what we wanted this recording for was to get the content so that we could make shorts out of it, so that we can post this on the website and LinkedIn, etc., to provide you with nuggets and snippets of guidance and continual information around this. So Colleen, if we haven't answered your question, please just pop it again, and if you've got a separate or a follow-on question. But I'm going to go to the chat. I see people are putting questions in the chat. The one from Perrin. When registering, what is the affiliation, educational institution, and or organization? So I'm going to go to Jenica for that question. What should people, as a practitioner, do we fill in the company that we're working in?
Yeah, most certainly. Obviously, with the permission of your company, or put in you can come in as an independent individual. So either your company, independent individual, or if you belong to an academic institution, then of course the academic institution. So there isn't any exclusion criteria. So do not be nervous about this. Come in as yourself and please submit.
Great. So if you're not mentioning the organization in your article, then you could come in as independent. If you are mentioning your organization, of course, you need approvals to mention the organization, and then obviously make sure that we've got that permission, and then you can put it in as your organization. Joy Marie has a question. If I understood Neil correctly, so if Good Governance Academy gets at least 10 articles published, then we can go through the process. So if we don't have 10 articles, if we don't have 10 people that are interested in submitting articles and we don't receive them, and our deadlines are in August, so we need to have received these articles by August. If we haven't received 10, we can't start the process. We can't start going through it. Neil, did you kill yourself online then?
Sorry, I see we had a break in our internet connection, so I just had to reconnect from my phone. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's absolutely fine. We were actually just looking at that 10 articles. So I think I explained it. Jenica's nodding. Jenica, did I explain it right? Okay, good.
No, you did. If I can add, Caroline,
Please.
Question after that says, Is there a monthly submission? So we want your submissions to flood our inboxes right now, basically, so we get beyond 10. And we would like more submissions to continue thereafter, so we can continue indexing as many times as necessary so that we satisfy international and local criteria. So that's our objective. So please send as many. There isn't, I know you're familiar maybe with some journals that, publish quarterly or half yearly. At this very initial phase, we want as many submissions that can come through. So we welcome that. Thanks, Carolyn.
Neil, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Jenica, that's a great point. I think it's useful perhaps to explain that because we're an open access journal, we publish on what's called a running or continuous online publication model. And what that really means is if an article is accepted, we can prepare it for publication and publish it as soon as it's ready. So we don't have to wait for a batch of 10 articles to get ready and then publish them all at once. We can publish, you'll notice there's already one published on the journal's website, one original research article, I mean, along with 2 editorials, one of which was written by Dr. Gobind. And so yes, we can publish between, just for argument's sake, we can publish up to 20 or 25 articles even per year. And when the new year comes over, a new volume and a new issue will be started. And so even if an article is submitted a little bit later this year, that article will just roll over to the next year. I hope that explains that.
Yes, sorry, I'm just responding to Johan. Yes, and I have got 2 articles that Prof. King would like to submit as well. So I need to, so we'll have those coming in. So that's work in progress at the moment. And what else can I say? I think that leads us in terms of we've kind of covered the how to submit. You touched on, Neil, how to, hang on, there's another question here from Joy Marie. Indexing, does that include editorial, original, and review articles, or a mixture of that? Neil, I think you mentioned something around that.
That's a great question. Thanks, Joy Marie. Thanks, Carolyn. No, so in terms of assessment for inclusion in the Directory of Open Access Journals, it has to be original research or equivalent. So basically just original research or review articles. But that doesn't mean that once the journal is included, that editorial content, such as editorials, is excluded from indexing. It's just for evaluation purposes, original research is what counts. That's also the case for DHET accreditation. The focus is on research output rather than any other kind of editorial output, which is, and I really do want to stress this, which is not to say that there's no value. It's just for DHET and indexing purposes that there's a focus on original research. I hope that clears it up.
Thank you, Neil. So we're not saying we're not accepting others. We absolutely want others, but what we're saying is that to get this accreditation, we need to have those 10 original research. And I'm going to switch now to okay, so we've got these articles flooding the inboxes, as Dr. Jenica said. We've got these articles flooding in, and the editorial team is very busy, and they're busy being published. As Neil, you said, they as and when they get published on the website. How can people go and read these articles, and are they readable from that perspective?
Thank you very much. I hope I can share my screen. I should be able to.
Yes, you can.
Okay, great. You've given me the right.
Well, you have the authority to.
Thank you.
Okay.
There we go. Just hope I'm in the right place. Okay. So I'll just use the first original research article as an example. You'll also see there's a link to a video here where Prof. King speaks a little bit about the journal. In any event, so all articles are published online primarily, or at least originally, and all articles are available in 4 different formats. That's HTML, EPUB, XML, and PDF. I think for our readers, HTML and PDF would be the most relevant and useful. HTML is nice because it takes a lot less bandwidth than a PDF does. So if you're just quickly looking to sort of what's the word? Screen an article HTML version is the way to go, but I'll just open it. They all open in exactly the same way. There's no pay gate, there's no entry, other sort of entry requirements. You don't have to sign in or up. And this is an example of what an original research article would look like. And it's fully downloadable. And because it's all open access, you're even welcome to share it with your colleagues without having to ask permission from the authors or the publisher. And this is because of the Creative Commons attribution license under which all content is published, including other editorial content such as editorials. So anything that is published will be available on the website as soon as it's published, and well, hope theoretically forever. We also have, apart from our indexing department, we also practice what's called long-term preservation. So we send all published content to what's known as a dark archive, so that if Coburg, for example, blows up and our company is wiped off the face of the earth, that content will still be made available again, theoretically into perpetuity. So that is part of our open access promise. I hope that
Fabulous. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. And then what we're also doing as part of making this content available is on the 23rd of October. We have a conference. It's again in a Good Governance Academy style. It's online. And we're actually this year, and although we advertised our business school annual summit for the 19th of June, because of the journal and because of the accreditation deadlines, we're actually moving the Business School Summit from the 19th of June through to the 23rd of October. And we're having a combined conference on the 23rd of October, where we will ask anyone who has submitted an article, if they would like to come and present. And it's a very, as the GGA does, not a formal, academic presentation in a conference, but in this kind of a fire chat style setting, where we get to understand the content a little bit better as consumers of the content. When we understand the motivations behind the paper, the article, what the things that the written word can't always tell us, and the hard facts tell us, is really the spirit behind the paper, and that's what we're trying to get through in the conference. We'll also look to not only have the papers accessible on the AOSIS platform, but on the journal page, just have the links to that as well, so that it'll link through to the platform, so that you can search both through the GGA's website as well as through the AOSIS platform. So that's something that when the articles start happening and flooding in, that we will also put together is bringing those links, and we might even use a little bit of AI to summarize the extracts that we have there. But depending on what what you're looking for, to search for articles on both the AOSIS website as well as the GGA's website. So that's just another way of finding these articles to make it easy for you to see and to read these articles. So I just want to do the last 7 minutes that we have, and I can't believe we've taken an hour on this, but we have. I'd just like to, first of all, thank you, Neil, for joining us today. It was last minute. You've added tremendous value just to give us insights in terms of the AOSIS process and the journal and open access, and your expertise in helping us navigate with all of those acronyms was fabulous. Thank you very much. And,
You're welcome.
And Jenica and I have got some really, really exciting news that we can't tell you that's going to be happening at the end of June. So if we can tell you a little bit about it, it will happen. We will give you some hints and tips during June. But the end of June, beginning of July, we'll be able to send out a very exciting announcement around the journal and other things that we're doing in promoting the journal. So Jenica, thank you so much for joining us today. thank you so much for your hard work in making this a reality. I'd just like to reiterate Neil's words that this is Jenica's hard work. So we're really very, very grateful for your heavy lifting on making this happen. It's really something quite amazing. And it's a first, obviously, for the Good Governance Academy. So thank you, Jenica. And then I'd like to just take the last few minutes to offer the floor to Prof. Cesar to give us any final words and calls to action from the editorial team and behalf of the editorial team in what you're wanting us to do next. Prof. Cesar, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. And special thanks to Good Governance Academy and WITS Business School. Specifically, as you mentioned, Jenica, you are really, achieved the hard work. We know all the story behind it, how we come to this, time. So congratulations, and we are proud of you. Thank you very much. Specifically telling this, you deserve this. Thank you. And in addition to that, we really would like to welcome both practical and theoretical and original research articles within the umbrella of good governance. You can either choose to, inform us about ethical issues, the standards, integrated reporting, sustainability. We have this accountability issues, the good governance standards and everything, including all your original work. Please come and submit your original works. And as editorial board, we are always ready to support you and serve to, arrive our target as soon as possible to have an indexed publication. It's achievable. We know that with your own, contributions, we can achieve this as a teamwork. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Cesar. Again, thank you very much to everybody online. Thank you for those who have joined us for this hour. Really appreciate your joining us. And thank you for your kind words. We are looking forward to your articles. We have 27 people online. So we're hoping that we're going to get at least 20 articles, excluding ourselves, to come and flood our inboxes and land on the Oasis platform. Something that I use in terms of a time management, just set aside some time in your diaries for writing the article. If you can pace yourself, I know that you're all, especially practitioners and academics, you are flooded. We really have limited time, cognitive time available in today's very, very fast-paced world. So please set aside the time, send us an article before the end of August. We would like your article submitted before the end of August so that we can submit at least our 10 articles in the process in September for indexing. So thank you very much, everybody, for being online. Thank you for your participation, and we're looking forward to your articles. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend when you get there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Carolyn. Thanks, Jenica. Thanks, Cesar.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
great day.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
to all the
Bye.
participants.